My proposed solution consists of deploying more access points. These access points will be Cisco AeroNet 1130 AGs for internal use and Cisco AeroNet 1310 Gs for external use. The switch number 3 will be used to create VLANs to help segregate logically the two networks that are being that are to be broadcasted with separate SSIDs by the access points. Switch 3 will also be set up to route the new VLAN to a new demarcation zone located that will be directly connected to it. This is a logical diagram of my proposed solution. As you can see, I've excluded switches number 2 and switch number 1 in this diagram. That has been summed up with WF intranet located on the top right with a cloud icon. The Time Warner Internet is the top left cloud icon. This is directly connected to the SonicWall firewall that's directly connected to switch 3. Switch 3 goes towards two unmanaged switches and also has directly connected to it two access points. There are one additional access point deployed per building and one additional external access point which will be used to cover more area on the north side of Cottage B. As you can see by this diagram, I'm employing a core distribution access topology. Within the core, there is a SonicWall firewall, which is connected to the Time Warner Internet, as well as the WF intranet, which is the rest of the network segmented away from this exact project. The distribution consists of the switch number 3, as well as both unmanaged switches. And then, of course, we have access, which are all the access points, and presumably the computers connecting to them, which are excluded from this chart. In terms of routing and addressing, the new network will use a Class C network segment. The IP address will start with 192.168.1.0 with a 255.255.255.0 subnet mask. The distribution of IP addresses will be done from the firewall. The current network remains the same in terms of IP addressing and will not be affected by this change. This risk assessment diagram helps indicate high-risk areas for the new network segment in the organization. Each box is formatted with effect/likelihood. Effect ranges from A to D as well as likelihood from A to D. A is the highest amount. Whether it's effect, it's a destructive effect. If it were likelihood, it's a certain likelihood. While D is the least. Well, for instance, effect is no impact, and likelihood D would be impossible. Each box is also color coordinated. Anything with an A in it will be colored red. If it has a B as the highest, it will be colored yellow, and anything C or D will be colored green. The areas of most interest. Okay, we'll stop. In terms of the new access points, they do run the risk of having unauthorized access to them, as well as physical damage. Unauthorized access can occur if the pre-shared key is shared with unauthorized personnel. Luckily, because this network is separated, it will not have any effect on the organization. Simultaneously, the risk for physical damage occurring is considered certain, as the access points are in plain sight and eventually may be damaged. However, due to the physical security of the compound, malicious damage is much less likely to occur, and accidental damage is much more likely. If this does occur, however, the impact on the organization may be disruptive, but since the wireless is considered a convenience for employees and tenants, this occurrence wouldn't cause any truly adverse effects. Because the public network segment isn't as protected as the internal network segment, there is a risk that worm propagation could slow the shared links being used. Also, there's an increase in risk that viruses and worms could propagate through other networking means, such as email, to the employees and subsequently infect the primary network of window frosters. This chart details the security zones that are to be implemented. Security 1 is the unmanaged systems. It is to provide general security to non-employees and non-organization devices. This zone is not to be trusted with either of the other security zones. It is to be completely separate at all times. Security Zone 2 is for the managed systems. This is to provide security and practices of due diligence for all employees of the organization and organization-owned computing devices. Security 3 is limited to the core and distribution sections. This is for crucial services, servers, systems, and other devices that are required for network and internet functionality. In terms of physical security, all server rooms have locks and are locked by the IT administrator. Also, there are several cameras that are linked to a DVR in the organization. These cameras are at strategic points of entrances and exits of many of the rooms in the buildings. With the new network equipment deployed, this is how the physical network will look. As you can see, there are 2 access points per building, and there's also a channel assignment, which are alternating 1, 6, and 11 to reduce the amount of interference. In the center, you can see switch 3, which is colored blue, being connected to the sonic wall, being connected to the Time Warner demarcation zone. At the top, you can see the blue access point, which is channel 6. This is the external access point meant to provide internet to the resident homes above it. In terms of budget, the budget is kept low. For the Cisco AirNet 1130 AG access points, it will cost $420 per device. There will need to be 5 devices. This totals $2,100. The 1,000 feet of Cat 5e cable that will need to be ran, and the Cisco AirNet 1310 both total another $560 together. The sonic wall can be purchased at a discount for $929, and installation of the new internet is only $100. This totals $3,689 for the initial fee. The tasks required to complete this project include installing the internet, installing a firewall, configuring the switch, installing new access points, configuring all access points individually, and then once all this is completed, testing all configurations and testing the performance. This timeline schedule allots approximately 2.5 weeks for this project. This, of course, is subject to change and is variable depending upon the IT staff's availability and the IT staff's availability. The previous timeline is built off of the assumption that the IT staff will manually edit each access point using the graphical user interface. During deployment, I would recommend using automated scripts to configure each access point. Once these are built, it will both serve as an easy way to deploy this project as well as an easy method to deploy new access points in the future and update current access points. It is also my recommendation that current configurations are saved in Prime for deployment in case services are interrupted inadvertently, which could cause a lengthy downtime, especially if the switch is misconfigured. Also, deployment of the configurations should begin during the late night hours when network usage is lower. This is, again, to reduce any impact on the network. During the testing phase, the handoff of the wireless access points as well as the interference rates should be assessed. Assuming these expectations are met, VLAN testing should be executed. As I have stated before, one of the primary goals of this project is to make sure the networks are entirely separate. Testing should attempt to connect from the new segment to the intranet and vice versa. Once this is complete, data rates should be tested by stress testing the network with wireless devices. This will determine the limitations of the wireless network, which can aid in troubleshooting in the future. In summary, my proposed solution is adequate in fulfilling the needs of Window Frosters Incorporated. The solution is economically friendly and has the added bonus of not interrupting the normal functions of the business. In terms of security, the new LAN is secured with WPA2 and VLANs. The project is also relatively easy and straightforward to deploy and possesses the ability to be reverted instantly if unforeseen circumstances arise. Thank you for taking the time to review my project. I hope this project can be approved and deployed in the future.